Okay, so welcome in everybody to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology on Wednesday, the 4th of October. My name is Stuart Lawler and I'm Head of Digital Content here at Sight and Sound Technology. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our presenters today, Sid and Jan Mark from WeWalk, and we'll introduce them in just a moment. So today's session is all about WeWalk. It was very recently added to our product portfolio. We got so many questions about it at the recent Site Village event in Birmingham, and we're expecting similar interest in the product today, and indeed at some of the shows that we will be at over the coming months. And one of those, of course, is Site Village London, which is on Tuesday, the 7th of November. If you're going, make sure to come and say hello to us. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with us today, you may do so on the Zoom meeting platform by using the chat option. That's Alt and H if you're using Windows, Option and H if you're using a Mac, or if you're on a mobile device, you can find the chat button under More Options, either on iOS or Android. Please put your message in chat and I'll be keeping an eye on that. Or you can raise your virtual hand by pressing Alt and Y on Windows, Option and Y on Mac, or you can access the More Options on your mobile device and activate the raise hand button. We are on a tight schedule today. We do want to do this within the hour because our presenters are very generously giving their time. So Sid and Jan Mark are going to present for about 30 minutes and tell us all about the WeWalk cane. And then we will have about 25 minutes for questions. In the interest of trying to accommodate as many of you as possible, may I please ask that you would keep your question as brief as you can so that we get everybody's question answered. So with that, all that said, let me introduce Sid and Jan Mark from WeWalk. I had the pleasure of meeting both gentlemen at Site Village, and what they have developed is truly amazing. So Sid, I'm happy to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Stuart. Hello, everyone. My name is Sid Asnani. I'm a business development manager with WeWalk. And I joined WeWalk January this year, so I'm not that old to assistive tech. But yes, it's been a fun ride. It's been a fantastic journey so far. And I look after the UK, Ireland, and the rest of the world, including Europe, excluding the Americas. So yes, idea is to have as much footprint as possible with regards to what WeWalk has to offer in terms of technology. And I think I'm going to hand over now to John Mark. He can maybe introduce himself and can take it on from there.
Great. Thank you so much, Sid and Stuart. Always great to be in your company and the company of everyone that's joining us in this webinar. So I'm Dr. Jean-Marc Figali, WeWalk's Head of Research and Development. I'm responsible for making sure that our product, works and meets the requirements of our visually impaired community. So it's been a long journey for me at WeWalk now. It's my 5th year at the organization. And it's been, a fun ride, as Sid puts it. I think it's an apt way of describing everything. So the structure for today will be a short presentation from me, just sort of talking about the concepts behind WeWalk and why we do what we do. And then actually a demo of our cane and our software platform. Now, I'm actually visually impaired myself, and whilst I will be using a slide deck, you won't be missing out on any visual content, and everything will be audio described. So really sit back and enjoy the show. I'm going to kick off by sharing my screen, and we can jump right into what makes WeWalk WeWalk. All right, very conveniently, my Zoom is actually blocking that. Okay, cool. Hopefully that's all up. Sid, Stuart?
Sid, are you able to see the, see the
I
screen?
am able to see your slides, yes.
Fantastic.
Great. Okay. So first and foremost, we are driven by our own lived and professional experiences of our visual impairments to create better mobility tools for our community. We use the long cane, we love the long cane, but we've realized that we could do so much more with the right technology. And that's exactly what we did with our WeWalk Smart Cane. We took the standard white cane, chopped off the rubber handle, and replaced it with the WeWalk handle to get visually impaired people from point A to point B safely, effectively, and independently. The idea behind WeWalk really is quite simple. You use your cane just as you would a traditional white cane, except you've got your value-added features when you need them. You've got the obstacle detection sensor, which vibrates to let you know about low-hanging tree branches and signage or any other above waist or head height obstacle. But where we go further is with our patented connectivity to our WeWalk smartphone app. And we really have built this app from the ground up to be what we consider the most accessible and most comprehensive navigation app available out there. Using your built-in touchpad, speaker, and microphone, you can control your app WeWalk will talk to you and it'll give you such directions like head 50 meters at 12 o'clock, take a 3 o'clock right turn, where your bus, the 44, will be waiting for you in 5 minutes. It really will guide you through every step of your journey in the first accessible multimodal navigation system for visually impaired people. Now, here's our app on screen. The app itself was also designed for people with some remaining functional vision, so you could customize its text sizes and its high contrast color settings to use your sight to actually benefit from our navigation features. You don't have to use the cane all the time. You can also benefit from using the app as well. And it's these efforts that have validated us with a Time Best Invention of 2019. We are Amazon Startup of the Year, an Edison Gold Award winner, as well as receiving an honorable mention by the Fast Company. But the thing that really sort of makes us quite proud here is that we've got people that aren't talking about visual impairment suddenly interested in our domain. So people like Fox, Mashable, and Bloomberg covering visually impaired assistive tech means a lot to us. Now, we didn't just make a cane and call it a day. That would be boring. We wanted to really push WeWalk to its limits and use it as a hub for innovation. And that's why we've partnered up with organizations like Microsoft, who we've been working with for 4 years now, to use WeWalk's built-in sensors, including its compass, gyroscope, and accelerometer, to actually track and find out how users are moving and feeding that data back to you, almost like a Fitbit for visually impaired people. So you can see your walking stats, your cane movements, your cane swipes. And this is particularly helpful for orientation and mobility specialists or anyone in rehabilitation, so you can actually get a better idea of your long-term functional performance. So the AIM system is built right into WeWalk, and if you want to opt in and give it a shot, then you could do that. It's a very cool system. On top of that, we've also partnered up with Imperial College and the RNIB to keep enhancing our navigation system in new environments. So we're continuously making updates to our navigation system, our prompts, and the locations where it works. So really exciting things to come ahead for WeWalk. Now, I'll let a video of our partners play, actually discussing our partnership and what's ahead.
We're delighted to have been awarded the Design for Aging funding, and working with WeWalk and Imperial College London, we've got a super exciting opportunity really to take the whole premise of navigation and move the dial and make sure that the experience moves forward for people. So we'll be heavily involved in user testing, working with a large group of blind and partially sighted people and harnessing their lived experience day to day, but also working with our user experience expert team and creating essentially a product that really changes the game for blind and partially sighted people every day.
So the Design for Aging project is one that effectively allows us to bring the dream of seamless, fully automated navigation system for blind people a reality. And what this actually does from our perspective is effectively to give the visually impaired person overall situational awareness, which means that they are able to sense the environment within which they operate, and then to be able to navigate and wayfind easily from point A to point B. So that's quite exciting for us. We're going to be using some of the most sophisticated sensing and analytics technologies, including artificial intelligence and machine learning, to make this happen. The future is bright. The future is extremely bright for WeWalk, because the technologies that we're developing, which are for the visually impaired, are also transferable, dare I say, even to autonomous driving, right? Also to do with making sure that the quality of living of our aging population is maintained at the highest level, to ensure that the lives of our old people continue to be of a high quality.
So a very exciting partnership for us indeed. And the thing is, WeWalk isn't just based in the UK. We want absolutely everyone across the world to be able to benefit from our technology. And we're taking in all that customer feedback from across the globe and really, helping our product move forward, which is very, very exciting. And of course, Sight and Sound Technology being at the forefront of that here in the UK. So thanks again for essentially reaching our community and helping people, play around and see WeWalk, which is great. On top of that, we're also looking at international coverage for WeWalk. So apart from being an FDA Class 1 approved device, a CE and FCC marked device, we're also looking at things like international insurance coverage. So very exciting things ahead for us in terms of making sure that our customers can get hold of our products as equitably as possible. And as a result of this, we've got some people that are really focused on impact backing us. So people like Nesta Impact Investors, King's Health Partners, the first NHS-backed VC, are all on our team, and it helps make sure that we deliver a product which meets our impact goals, and actually helps our visually impaired people ultimately get from A to B. Now, I can talk about WeWalk for ages, as you can tell, but I'll let a video play of our users talking about their WeWalk experience.
If you give somebody the right tools, like for me, WeWalk, like that enable me to be independent, like I've traveled all over the country by myself and I can't see anything.
It's so important to make people realize that they are not limited and that everyone, all of us, has the power.
You know what, I'm gonna go out and get out there and do something, find a new place or whatever it is. You don't hesitate as much, you kind of feel more at ease. So I think it's really nice to have. It opened the world for things that we could never do before.
I can't say enough about what WeWalk has allowed me to do. It has given me back my independence. It has given me back the freedom to walk on my own, feel comfortable doing so, and not having to hold on to someone.
Right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and actually show you a real-life WeWalk device. Here's one we prepared earlier, if you'd like. All jokes aside, this is actually my own personal cane, so it's got a plastic covering on the tip, as it's been everywhere. But this should hopefully give you an idea of what WeWalk is. Very, very simple. It's a handle which clips on to your standard white cane. This is actually an Ambutech cane. It comes as standard with all WeWalk devices. So rest assured you're getting an excellent shaft with a changeable tip. So I've got a marshmallow tip on mine. It's a standard hook-on tip. You can use a off-road tip, a pencil tip, a long duration tip, even a wheel, whatever suits you. And the handle itself is quite ergonomic. So the way that we actually advise people to hold it is, it's a modified handshake method. So here's my hand, here's the cane. This must always be pointing upwards. So it's got a flat edge at the very top, flat edges on the side, and then a curved bottom where your palm sits. Your four fingers will sit on the side of the cane, with your thumb resting in the middle next to the touchpad over here. So just as a reminder of the front of the cane, you've got an ultrasonic sensor, you've got a indented square area, which is your touchpad, and then right above that, you've got a little divot again for your thumb to rest with two tactile buttons. That's where the vibration motor sits. So you get some great haptic feedback by resting your thumb over there. And then again, your palm essentially resting on the back of the curved bit with the rest of your fingers on the flat edge. So quite a simple, device to hold. And when it's turned off or when you're not using it, you would use it exactly as you would a standard white cane. So using two-point touch or continuous contact, it's quite simple to use. You've also got an attachment for a lanyard at the very top. It's a simple, slip-on lanyard. And you've also got your micro USB charging port at the top over here. You can use any standard, phone charging cable. You can charge it from your power bank, from a wall wart, from your laptop. So quite flexible to use. And at the very bottom, you've got an on and off button and a speaker and a microphone for WeWalk's voice interaction. So from a hardware perspective, super, super simple. Now, our app is also very simple to use, completely voice over and talkback compatible. So it works on both iOS and Android. You could use the app standalone and get our entire navigation feature set for a very small monthly fee. However, with WeWalk Connected, you get many more features. You get improved navigation thanks to WeWalk's built-in compass. So we're using your cane's compass. You can put your phone away in your pocket and get all the benefits of enhanced, straight-on navigation. But you also get control of the entire WeWalk app from its built-in touchpad and the obstacle detection. So a very convenient way to navigate. The app itself, again, very simple, linear, if you'd like, basis. Your WeWalk home screen has your current location up top. It then has your exploration mode. And if I turned on the exploration mode, WeWalk will actually talk to you. It'll actually tell you what locations are nearby, their clock direction away, so 39 meters away, and the distance away, 12 o'clock. So apparently there's a coffee shop straight in front of me, out of the house, 40 meters away, which is quite cool. Right below that, you have the option to connect your smart cane, which I'll do in a bit. And then below that, you've got the Explore button. So if you click on Explore, WeWalk will give you a list of nearby businesses and places, so arts and entertainment, food and cafes. And if you click one of these places, so for instance, I've clicked on it over here, you get a bunch of locations like Bleecker Burger, Granger & Co. You've got your distance away from them and your clock direction. And when you click on one of these locations, you have the option to go there, to save the location, to share the location, even to call them. So we provide the phone number for the location as well. Now I'm going to select one of these businesses and I'm going to tap Go There. Now, WeWalk's navigation stays the same across the whole app, whether you're typing in a destination, whether you're selecting from a drop-down list of nearby businesses, or even navigating to a transport stop, the navigation screens always stay the same. So I'm going to hit Go There. It's going to tell me that it's a 7-minute walk, or they can take public transport. That is a huge step forward. No other visually impaired app does that, where I can actually not only see my 7-minute walk, but I could walk and take the district line, I can walk and take the circle line, or I can walk and take bus number 11. And WeWalk will handhold me through each of these journeys. So say I walked and took the district line and walked again, WeWalk will start a walking journey. It'll then stop when I reach the station, automatically switch to our transport mode, where it'll let me know, okay, wait for the district line, it's coming in 2 minutes. I'll then board the train. It'll then tell me when to get off. And when I get off, it'll switch back to my walking mode. So very, very cool indeed. For sake of brevity, I'm just going to hit the walking navigation just so you see how the walking navigation works. And I'm going to click that now. I've got weak GPS signal indoors as well, so you'll have to bear with me while it sort of tries to position me. So we can try that in a sec. I'll show you transport for now whilst I re-get my GPS indoors. Transport again, it's very similar to your exploration modes. You have a list, essentially, of your nearby train stops or bus stops, and you can actually choose which of these stops. You can have National Express, your London buses, your Stagecoach services. Say we took London buses, I could then see that I've got Victoria Station over here. It's distance away, and if I click that, I've hit transport lines. It'll then show me my transport lines nearby. So I've got the 11 coming in 6 minutes. If I click that as well, I can then actually track my station. I can then click on one of them, and I can actually track that stop. So I'll see that if I wanted to get off at Brompton Square, I can ride for 4 stops, 1.46 kilometers, and WeWalk will actually ping me to let me know when that's happened. And then, of course, we've got the classic navigation mode where you can just type in any address that you want. So again, say I typed in a nearby postcode, and I was to hit Go There, it'll also give me essentially a list of how I can get to that destination, which is quite cool. Now, my multimodal navigation has started to work, which is quite nice. I've regained GPS signal. So I've hit a multimodal journey. It'll show me to actually walk to Terrace Place, then to wait for the Southern Line, then to ride to Clapham Junction, and then to walk again, and then to wait for a bus. So I've got the entire list over here, which is quite nice.
Turn right 2 o'clock onto
and if I hit start, which is to start my navigation,
right 2 o'clock onto in 10 meters.
It gives me my entire text-based navigation interface, which really has been a lifesaver. So I know that I now have to walk to this stop. I have to walk 150 meters at 4 o'clock. So it's behind me somewhere. I know that I have to turn right 2 o'clock in 20 meters as well, and then to head on to Eccleston Place. So very useful, completely text-based navigation interface. And you'll get this when using any of our exploration or transport or navigation modes. We also have a low vision setting as well. So if I hit onto my low vision setting, you can also use your functional vision to essentially track and see where your destination is, which is quite cool. I'm going to stop this navigation journey now. I'm going to head back into my home screen. We then have our AIM mobility tracking. And then right below that, we've got My Places. So My Places has a bunch of saved locations. You want to get somewhere very quickly, you can just click on My Places. So I'm going to hit connect my smart cane, and I'm going to turn on my WeWalk. And that ping sound is WeWalk connecting. So it's good to go, essentially. It's just connected. I'm going to turn off obstacle detection. So I just did a gesture there. You heard it vibrating. I've now turned off the obstacle detection just so it doesn't keep vibrating for the sake of this call. If I hit where's my WeWalk, which now pops up, I can actually ping my cane. So super useful if you've ever lost your cane somewhere. I know I've done that. And you could do the same here. You can actually ping your phone from your cane, but the idea is you can now control this entire experience using this built-in touchpad. So I'm going to double tap on my touchpad. So I say my places. I can find my phone. I can change my device preferences. I can check out transport. So say I double tap transport. I've got Victoria Rail Station. I can see my Green Line stations. I can jump through all of them. And say, like, you know, say I chose one. I can then see what transport lines are there. I can even go there. So I can just start the navigation journey. Say I hit transport lines. I can actually refresh lines. Nothing's coming on this transport line specifically. I can go back. Okay, nothing's coming there. Let's try somewhere else. Let's say London buses. Then I've got my stops that go there as well, which is quite cool. So if I click that, I've got each 11 minutes. There we go, coming in 11 minutes, which is quite nice. So again, depending on your stops and depending if anything's coming to them, you'll then have your latest lines over there as well. And to go back, I'm just swiping away. So it's just it's a swipe away, and then I've got all my options there. I've got explore. Say I double tap again to enter explore. I can see all pubs and clubs, fitness and wellness. I can just essentially swipe through. And then say I double click on one. I can see nearby places, and I can then quickly navigate there. When I'm done, I just swipe away. Swipe away again. Now I go back to my home screen, and when I swipe again now, it'll say menu has closed. And now I'm back into my home screen, which is very, very cool. Every part of this is customizable. So if I click on settings over here, I can customize my navigation preferences. So I can get WeWalk to talk to me every 5 seconds. I can get it to talk to me every minute, every 10 meters. I can get it to not talk to me at all if I didn't want any voice feedback. I can change my navigation directions from clock directions, which is what I prefer, to cardinal directions. So head east, west. It's fully customizable, and I can even change my distance units if I so chose to. And with my device preferences, I can turn on or off obstacle detection, so I can control that from the app or even from the cane. If I turned on obstacle detection, you'll hear it vibrating because it's picking up everything in front of it. If I turned it off, it'll stop vibrating, and I can then set that distance. So WeWalk's obstacle detection is like having another cane pointing upwards. You'd go left, you'd go right, you'd set your distance, just as you would set the distance of a standard cane if you'd like. And then once it vibrates, you know there's something there. You can then find the empty gap by moving left or right. So really an excellent device. We've made long strides in the last few years in terms of integrating all these services, our exploration modes, our user customizable services. And I think, you know, we're at a stage now where we're just really excited for everyone to just get their hands on one. Proof is in the pudding, and actually just go out there and enjoy it, and hopefully go to places you've never been before. So I'll open it up to questions now. Please do feel free to send them over.
Thanks, John. I think you have a couple of questions already. If I can read that out to everyone.
Yeah, please, Sid. Thank you. There's a few in chat, I think.
Sure, I'll read them out. Don't worry.
Perfect.
So John Flynn asks, I believe it uses the micro USB for charging. Is this going to change as most modern devices now use USB-C? Yeah. If you want to upgrade to USB-C, I would seriously think about purchasing one.
Yes. Right now, unfortunately, our current device is micro USB based. I mean, I agree with you. USB-C would be more ideal. It is the new standard. When we designed it, we were using micro USB. Although it's been all right so far. I mean, we've sort of been able to, the connector has been quite robust. I mean, this unit that I've got in front of me is my own unit. So it's been at all these shows, it's been used and abused, and it's still, the connector itself is quite robust, but of course you lose that nice reversibility, which you get with USB-C. I'll say watch the space. It's definitely a good piece of feedback for us to take on board. But if you're worried about longevity and sort of the USB port wearing out, for instance, or it being an old connector, we haven't really had that. It's been good so far.
Thanks, John Mark. Another question is by Fern Hadley. I see you list the World Economics Forum is interested in this. Does this mean they are behind supporting this technology and hopefully the costs involved in bringing this kind of tech to everyone who needs it?
So the World Economic Forum very kindly actually shared our post on their social media and online, which was really fantastic. Whilst they haven't like directly invested in us specifically, obviously that PR helped a lot. It gets more and more partners and people interested in the tech that we're doing. I will say that we luckily have some great supporters at WeWalk already. So we're not just, a tiny team with no support, but luckily we're growing. We've got partners like the RNIB and Imperial College. It's come a long way. So I'm grateful to say that we have some great partners on board. And actually, testament to that, here we are at SST. So we know that SST doesn't just partner up with anyone, which is quite nice. So yeah, we've got some great people backing us, and we're fortunate for that.
Thanks, Omar. Question from Lisa Simpson is, can you connect both the app for navigation and bone conducting earphones?
You absolutely can. So the nice thing about WeWalk is, and this is actually thanks to some previous user feedback from our users. There we go. There's the first. Of course, it's from our users. But yeah, we heard that users, wanted to use any type of earphone, be it Bluetooth or wired. So now WeWalk actually intelligently switches depending on sort of what medium you're using. So if you're using a plug-in 3.5 millimeter or USB-C earphone into your phone, WeWalk will automatically stop sending any audio to your cane and it'll send it to your earphones. If you're using a Bluetooth set of bone conducting headphones or earphones, again, WeWalk will do the exact same. It'll stop sending things to your cane. It'll start sending them to your earphones with the cane still connected, by the way. So you can have the cane connected with multiple other audio devices as well, which is quite nice. And if you don't have anything connected, no Bluetooth earphones or wired earphones, then your phone will default to sending it over to the WeWalk cane and its built-in speaker. But of course, we realize in a very crowded and busy space, the WeWalk speaker isn't going to be the loudest thing ever. You might prefer to use your own built-in earphones, and you could totally do that.
Thanks. From Jackie Ide, can you use it in the rain? Can I answer that if you don't mind, John?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so you can, if it's a light drizzle, yes, you can use it. There's no problem. We like to call WeWalk splash-proof, if not waterproof, which means you can't submerge it in water, obviously. Just like you would protect your phone, you want to protect WeWalk. However, if it's raining, lightly, you can use it. But if it's a heavy rain, we recommend you not use it. It could damage WeWalk. And also, it would give you a false obstacle detection because the ultrasonic sensor will detect the raindrops as obstacles and constantly vibrate. So we do provide you a cover to protect the cane from the rain in case it's raining, obviously. But yes, if it's a light drizzle, there is no problem. Next question is from Rebecca, I suppose. Does the transport mode work on the underground, John Mark?
So if you were connected to TfL's Wi-Fi, you will have access to all the timetables. As long as you have a data connection, then it'll work great on the underground. If you're above ground, I mean, we are fully linked in with the entirety of TfL's underground surfaces. You'll get that data. The only time when you'll stop getting real-time updates for the underground is when you lose data connection. So that's the only prerequisite. So say you're going to a station, you can see all your timetables, you can navigate there. Say you're in the station and connected to Wi-Fi, then again, you can keep using WeWalk and see all the timetables. But say you go through a tunnel, for instance, and you lose signal, then you lose the ability to see real-time updates. But of course, you'll still have your existing updates. You'll still know that you have to go for 5 stops or 4 stops, for instance, before you have to get off.
Great. And how much does the cane cost? Is the app for the phone extra cost? And is it rainproof? I can answer that. The cane, we sell it via Sight & Sound Technology. They are our exclusive partners in the UK and Ireland. And as far as I understand, I think they sell it for £550.
That's
it
correct.
Comes with a 2-year warranty. And with regards to the app, good part is if you have the cane, the app is free. You don't need to pay for the app. However, there are some users who don't use the cane, who just need the app, maybe low vision users. For them, the app is chargeable. Right now, I think it's close to approximately £10 a month or £100 annually. But always, I mean, we can revisit that if someone's interested, obviously. But if you have the cane, you don't have to worry. The app comes with a cane. Next question, what is the cost? I just mentioned that. Could you please explain a little more about how obstacles detection mode is working, John Mark?
Yeah, no, it's very simple again. So it's an ultrasonic sensor mounted at the very front. So it's over here, and it puts out ultrasonic waves, if you'd like, at an angle of 55 degrees. So say your cane's pointing up, you're getting essentially a dome with a 55-degree radius pointing upwards and detecting obstacles. You can then set that distance. You can set it all the way from 85 centimeters away, so just to before the shaft of my 54-inch cane, all the way up to 180 centimeters, so 2 meters away. And that's a 2 meter like direct distance away from you. So it'll start picking up, walls that are quite far in front of you. You can set the distance in any increments, in 5 increments between those two. And once WeWalk detects that there's anything in front of it in that 55-degree range, say a tree branch or a pole or anything, it'll then start to vibrate. And it vibrates quite vigorously. So you can sort of tell the difference between your ground feel and then the feel of the actual haptic motor inside this through these tactile buttons. And then once you sort of find something there, so say you're swiping right, swiping left, and then suddenly WeWalk vibrates on the left swipe, you can tell there's something to the left, as if your cane was shorelining against something. And then you can sort of try to find the empty gap by moving your cane until it stops vibrating. You've then identified the gap, and you can then walk through that gap. So very, very simple. Just imagine it like another shaft pointing upwards. You've got a shaft pointing down. It'll vibrate when it hits something, just like the obstacle detection will vibrate when it comes across something in your preset distance.
Right. So is there a recommended age? I was just wondering in terms of hand size and a child or a young person being able to hold a cane correctly.
Yeah. This is why we totally recommend dropping by a side village or getting a hold of our products, and why SST is super crucial here. So we admit that WeWalk's handle is slightly bigger and and I say slightly heavier than a standard white cane. Most people get used to it after 2 to 3 weeks of use. However, for people with really weaker wrists or much smaller hands, people do feel a bit uncomfortable. It is a compromise they have to make to get the added features versus the ergonomics. And it might not be the right product for them, which is why we definitely recommend, giving it a shot. Now for, sort of teenagers, 16, 17, 18 years old, I think that's great. It's actually the perfect age for someone using WeWalk, their first proper long cane. It's a cool device, but for anyone younger than that, then I would exercise some caution. Definitely give it a shot first. Make sure that wrist size and that comfort is okay.
Thanks. And Jackie's asking, is there any specific training resources available for using the cane?
Yes, that's a great question, and we have loads. So online and in the app itself, we have all our user manuals. We have lots of product videos as well. So you can definitely check that out. Lots of great videos as well. And we also provide, you get WeWalk training. Essentially, once you get a WeWalk device, you can ring us up, bring up SST, and then sort of, they'll facilitate training for you to talk you through how WeWalk should be used. Of course, we don't teach you how to use a cane. I think you need to have basic O&M training and know how to use a cane before, wanting to jump into WeWalk. And then, God forbid, if you want to hear more of my voice, you can actually check out the WeWalk 101 section in the WeWalk app, where we actually have voice recordings going through this webinar and talking you through each of the features like obstacle detection and navigation. So you can always sort of jump back and listen to this again.
Right. Mark Chamberlain asks, will WeWalk lose its functionality when it is not connected to Wi-Fi in a station, for example?
This is a great question. So WeWalk is a connected device. It does need a data connection, aka a connection to your smartphone to do all the smart features like get navigation, timetable updates, so on and so forth. However, the obstacle detection, even if you lose connectivity or even if your smartphone runs out of battery or you disconnect, will continue to work. The obstacle detection is a safety feature. We don't want it to be dependent on anything. So as long as your WeWalk's, functioning, it's got battery, then it'll continue to give you the obstacle detection, which is really useful. But yeah, in terms of mapping and navigation and all the sort of transport and smart features, you would need a data connection to get up-to-date transport data.
Right. Tracy asks, are the up and down vibrations different from each other?
Not quite sure what you mean by up and down. We only have one vibration. So WeWalk doesn't give you directional vibration. In the sense, it doesn't tell you if it's a left or right obstacle. You would determine where it is based on your cane swipe. So it's a narrow band. It's a narrow beam, if you'd like, that the ultrasonic sensor is putting out. So if you moved your cane left and you pick up something on the left, it won't let you know that it's on the left. You'll know that it's on the left because your cane is physically pointing to the left. Same as if you moved it straight or to the right. And then you would find the gap by moving left or right. We did that on purpose, actually, because we wanted almost to mimic a standard cane use. So you're using constant contact, you're using 2-point touch. As your cane's moving left and right and you're picking up things on the ground, you'll also be picking up things that are up above you. And that's how you'd know sort of, where things are.
Sid, if you don't mind, I'm going to just break chat for a minute because there's a few people with raised hands as well, and I want to make sure we get to those guys too. I know there's a few questions on chat about, and very specifically about cost of the cane in the US. I don't know if you wanted to, or is there a way that that can be addressed, or is there someone people can be pointed towards for that information?
Yes, certainly. So Marsha has asked a question, so I'm going to type my email address, and once she connects to me, I will guide her to our US distributor because I'm not sure what cost do they sell it in the US, but I can always connect you to the right person in the US.
Okay, and Marcia, I see you had your hand raised. I'm going to make an assumption in the interests of time that that was going to be to ask the question you put in chat. If for some reason it wasn't, please just put your hand up again. So we're going to go to Arthur Aston. Arthur, your hand is raised, and then we're going to go to Derry Lawler in Dublin. So Arthur, you should be able to unmute yourself, I hope, and we'd love to hear your question. I don't think we have Arthur. I'll try sending you an unmute request again.
I think he's there.
Hi, Arthur.
I'm there.
How are you? Yep.
I'm fine, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the very interesting presentation. A couple of things. Firstly, if I could just go back to the detection. I actually I've had for many years ultra cane. So are you saying it's just a point? It's a spot sensor beam, or does it have a vertical area that it's covering? For example, waist to above head height. I understand the point in terms of the horizontal measurement, that it just is a narrow range which follows the tip of the cane, basically, wherever you're pointing it. But vertically, what is the range of the coverage for the sensor?
Yep. That's a great question, Arthur. So yep, it does have a vertical range, if you'd like. So it's not just a spot. It is sort of wider than a spot, but sort of in standard use horizontally, it almost acts like a spot because of the way the cane's being moved. Yeah. Vertically, we'd say anything from sort of chest level all the way to above head level. So everything from sort of the chest or the waist down, that's not being picked up. That's only going to be picked up by your standard cane shaft. So it is still quite a focused beam, if you'd like. But it should be enough to cover most heights. And especially if you increase the distance, then that sort of spot, if you'd like, gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Increases the angle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Secondly, if you don't mind, I'll just go very quickly. Secondly, what sort of demand is there on the data when you're actually using the system? Let's say you're actually navigating on a chosen route. You know, does it draw a lot of data, or does it only draw a very small amount, insignificant amount?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I can't give you specific measurements for a route, and it's something that I could find out for you. But what I could tell you, at least from an actual user that uses it and sort of anecdotally tracks our use, and even from a scientific perspective, it's not a big draw at all. So you're not constantly polling data. It's actually expensive for us as well as an organization to keep polling APIs and data, because every call costs us as well. So it's actually not too data intensive at all. You would sort of bring up your transport modes. That might take up a few kilobytes. You then click on the mode itself. Again, that might take a few kilobytes. But once everything is loaded and you're using GPS, you're not actually using that data. You're only using your GPS connection to sort of get you from that point A to point B. So it shouldn't be much at all. It's not like you're constantly downloading maps or data. It only triggers maps and downloads data when you actually enter the actual mode.
Yeah. Thirdly and finally, can you link the navigation features on the app with, say, something else which gives you more specific information in one way or another, or an app which you've used for a long period of time? I use Blind Square a lot. Blind Square gives me a lot of way marking information and features. I assume that's on yours as well, is it?
Yeah, so unfortunately not. You cannot, in current WeWalk's version, do that. So you're sort of locked down to our existing navigation system. I will say that we have sort of learned from the best on this. So people like Foursquare and Lazarillo, we were previous app users. I used to use those apps as well. And we've tried to port over, the best features we could and make refinements. You might find, truthfully, that there are some things that might not just be to your liking. I know, again, from my experience, I like things sort of being the way they were, and switching over to a new app can be a bit of a cumbersome process. But we hope that if you give it a shot, you'll see that most of the apps are there, most of the features are there. And if there's something which is missing, then we could certainly, try to make improvements. They're usually easy to improve as well. So I'd say it's definitely worth giving it a shot and seeing sort of what's missing if you'd like. And if there is anything missing, reaching out to us.
So just to clarify, there is no way of labeling. So for example, you can't identify within your route manually. You can't put it into the records of a, let's say, pedestrian crossing, a specific point you want to go to. I understand it'll pick the bus stops up, for example, or transport stops, but other information that you need, which, I mean, as the next user of Foursquare, you'd obviously know what I'm talking about, because it's very difficult just using that standard navigation and transport information to be able to plot your way through even a known route. You've got to have reference points.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a way you could do it in the app right now, which is to save things to your places and to navigate to them. But that's not the ideal way. And it's not the sort of level of refinement, if you'd like, of being able to save a pedestrian crossing in maybe 10 or 11 points on a route and then being able to easily navigate to them. So that's something which we cannot do, which definitely is something we're looking at. So breadcrumbing is on our sort of development timeline.
That's exactly that. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arthur. We appreciate you coming along. Good to see you again. Okay, I'm going to go to Derry Lawler, and then I see Marcia has her hand raised again. So Marcia, I will come back to you in a sec. Derry, you should be able to unmute yourself, I hope.
Yes, hi guys, how you keeping?
Hey there.
How are you doing, Derry?
Great, good stuff, great webinar. Two questions, I'm hoping to keep it to two. Can you attach the WeWalk to any cane you like? And also, what does it weigh before you attach it to your cane?
Yep. Great questions. So WeWalk is just a standard attachment. So I'll actually show you how it works. I'll describe how it works, which is, imagine you've got your standard elastic inside your cane. We've untied the elastic from the top of that rubber handle. We've then shortened it, and then we've created a bit of a screw. So WeWalk actually, oops, sorry, I've triggered my touchpad, which is, if I rotate this, it's just a screw which WeWalk attaches onto. And then if you pull it off, it just pressure fits into it. So any standard, Ambutech cane, this is an Ambutech graphite cane, just essentially pressure fits the handle. You can fold it up as if you were using a standard rubber handle. There's some
does it have to be Ambutech though?
Yeah, this is an Ambutech, and it'll come with an Ambutech cane. Yeah. So you should be okay in most cases. However, there are obviously some canes that absolutely will not work. So say you're using a cane without an elastic, one of those other pressure fit canes, or even a rigid cane like an NFB cane, then unfortunately WeWalk doesn't work on that. But if most standard canes, we actually provide a spare adapter in the box as well. So say you don't like your Ambutech cane, you actually have a spare screw in the box as well. We can take a standard elastic cane, cut the top off, slide that in, and then you should be able to be good to go essentially with that. So I'd say experiment, but we have made a conscious effort here. I'll tell you a quick story as well. We once tried to manufacture our own shaft, and users didn't like that. So we backpedaled on that, and we now partner with Ambutech because we want you guys to just have a great cane to start with. You're not going to be kicking off with like a shoddy cane. You're going to get a nice Ambutech cane to get you going. And
the weight of the unit?
Yep. It's about, I want to say 150, 160 grams heavier than your standard cane in terms of the handle. So not significantly heavier. I'd say for most people, the dimensionality is the thing that they get used to, as opposed to the increased weight. Because again, we're using quite a light shaft. It's a nice Ambutech shaft. It's more just getting used to the grip. That's the thing here.
Yeah. And the last, how incorporated is the app into where I live in Ireland for the transport and the trains? How good is it for using in, say, finding bus stops and stuff in Ireland?
So I'm actually going to be flying into Belfast, which this weekend, and I think the Sight and Sound team is actually going to be in the Republic of Ireland next Monday. Yeah. Well, so we're going to get some real people on the ground. Which is
I can try to make a stab at that as well, maybe John Mark, if you want, because I've played with the app here. So Derry, it does tie into the TFI, so you can get your Dublin Bus, Air Coach, Irish Rail. And you can pop, in fact, the interface is a bit like the Dublin Bus app, the old Dublin Bus app was retired, where you can see the bus stops. So yeah, you can do that.
Great. Listen, I might see you the next Monday at the Techno.
Yeah, good stuff, Derry. Look forward
to it. Thanks again.
Take care. Take care. Okay, brilliant. That was Derry, regular attendee. So just to say, after Marcia, we don't have any more raised hands. If anybody else has a quick question, you're welcome to raise your hand, Alt and Y, or click the raise hand option if you're using a mobile app. Marcia, if you want to ask a quick question, you should be able to unmute yourself. Hi, Marcia. I think we have you.
Yes. Now, I don't know whether you did this in chat. I was trying to learn how to navigate the chat. But what I was wondering is, I am a wheelchair user, and can the cane work with that and all this kind of stuff? And then, of course, I know the costs have been covered, and if there's a distributor in the US, you know, so that I can get whatever training I need to get. So that's my $1,000 question for the day.
Okay.
That's a good question as well, Marcia. So in terms of US distribution, I mean, Sid, if you can reach out to Sid, reach out to Marcia. We have a couple of US distribution channels, so I'm sure there's a way where you can get hold of one. And in terms of wheelchair users, truthfully, I can't say. I know that it's sort of on an individual basis. It's more if you can use a standard white cane and you're comfortable with using a standard white cane.
Yeah, which I am. You know, which I am. I've had guide dogs for God knows how long, and I can go back to a cane if need be. I've done it.
Yeah. So if you're comfortable using a cane, then WeWalk isn't different to that, and that's sort of what we stress, which is if you can use a white cane, then WeWalk is just. It's there on top of the white cane, as opposed to the white cane being on top of WeWalk and you having to sort of change all your ways of using it. So there should be no reason, if then you're happy to use a white cane, to sort of keep using it. And yeah, that's really all I can say, but I don't want to sort of make any commitments. I know it's all an individual basis. And hey, look, I know there are some guide dog users, for instance, who might not like a WeWalk, some white cane users who might not like a WeWalk, and then some who actually might like a WeWalk. It's like a tool in a toolkit if you'd like. And if it works for you, then that's great.
Okay, thanks, Jean-Marc. And Marcia, I hope that answers your question. So I want to go to Terry Ann, who has a question. Terry, I hope you can unmute yourself.
Yes, hello there, everyone.
How
Good
are you?
to, I'm great, and I'm so pleased to hear this demo. Updates of the software. If you talked about that, I apologize if I missed that.
Yes.
How does that work?
This is quite simple. We're on the App Store and the iOS Store, the Android Store. So WeWalk apps, just WeWalk app updates like any regular app. And most of our big feature updates just come through those standard app updates. And you know, we've committed to that. And over the last 3-4 years, we've been doing it free of charge. So if you got a WeWalk app, you've got the subscription, or you've got the cane, your app just gets updated and gets all the latest features, which is quite nice. If there is like a really big hardware update, for instance, like a feature update that requires us to actually update the firmware in your cane, and that's also done through the app. So we recently pushed out a firmware update to fix some compass issues. I say recently, this was a few months ago because time flies now. But it's just the cane connects to the app. It says you've got a firmware update, keep your cane connected, and we will update the cane for you. So it's all automated, all in the app. It's quite simple.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thanks, Terry. Good to hear you. Okay, I don't have any. Sid, is there anything else popped into chat that you wanted to address?
Yeah, there's a couple in the chat. Yes. Jackie's asking approximately how long does it take to full charge, and is there a warning to say low charge?
Yes. So charging takes as long as it takes to charge a phone, really. So say 2 hours to get a full charge. The nice thing is the battery does last. So it's 6 hours of everything turned on. So, I mean, continuous walking with obstacle detection and navigation for 6 hours. So say you're walking around for an hour a day, it should last you for a week. And there actually is a sound to play the low battery sound, which is a ding at 25%. Every time you turn it on, so you can't miss it. It won't just suddenly die. Every time you turn on your WeWalk, it'll give you that ping that, you know, by the way, you're running out of battery soon, we'll keep working. But just bear in mind, you have 25% left. So about, you know, an hour left of battery, you should probably charge yourself up.
There's one more from Caroline. Over the past several years, there have been fundraising attempts to get this into the hands of those who could benefit. But are there any updates on ways to make these more available to everyone?
This is a great question. I can't answer for all our avenues, but I will say, at least from my end, from what we're doing within my team, we're doing as much as we can to make sure, anyone that, as equitably as possible, of course, anyone can get a hold of this. So we're already looking at things like insurance coverages abroad. We actually had a gentleman get their WeWalk funded through a local charity who purchased one for them. We're trying to work with local councils so that local councils can provide it. We're looking at the NHS. We're doing what we can. Although, if you have any ideas or any sort of grants to get WeWalk funded for you specifically, then we'd be happy to hear them. It's a win-win for everyone. Someone gets a WeWalk, we get funding to keep doing things, which is nice. We're doing what we can. I'll say that.
Okay, I just had a quick one on email that came in from Brian Campbell. He had a couple of questions. I may only have time to get one, but he says, I gather there are 3 distance settings on the cane. Roughly, what range does each setting give you? So what is the detection, I suppose?
It's actually a bit more than 3. It's 5. So you've got your min, your low, your mid, your high, and your max. And then the distance between them is almost 20 centimeters each time. So you're going all the way from about 80 centimeters all the way to under 200 centimeters, give or minus a few centimeters. And that's the range there. The nice thing is you can play around with it. So the way that we recommend users find the distance they like based on their shaft length, their actual physical shaft length, is you would set a distance. You let your cane tip touch a wall, and then you set the distance until the cane just vibrates as your tip touches the wall. That way you've got, an obstacle detection distance vertically that's almost the same as the distance your shaft makes to the obstacle on the ground in front of it. So you then have that, that force field, if you'd like, with your cane and shaft. So you can just play around with it, and it changes. Like for indoors, I often turn it off, or I have it at a low setting so it doesn't bounce off the walls. And if you're outdoors, like in a wide open field or in a park walking pretty quickly, then you'd set it to a much higher distance so you can pick up branches so you don't walk into them at full speed. So it's very easy to change, very variable, and yeah, you can make it work for you.
Okay, brilliant. Just then, very last question of the day, of at least of the raised hands. We're going to give back to Arthur Aston. Arthur was with us a couple of minutes ago. So Arthur, you should be able to unmute yourself. I think we have you.
Hello.
Unmuted. How are you?
Am I there? All right. Thanks, Stuart. Something I didn't want to mention earlier on, I left, but I'm totally blind. So when somebody talks about typing information or typing text, it worries me somewhat. Do you have voice activation, or do you have dictation?
Yes, the text fields in the WeWalk app are completely standardized text fields. So just like you'd enter text into WhatsApp or Chrome or Safari or whatever you would use on your standard phone, you can dictate into it if your keyboard supports it. And it's fully voiceover compatible. So when you are typing, you are getting that feedback from your keyboard and from the text field as well. So nothing is bespoke in our app. All buttons are labeled. So it's fully voiceover talkback compatible. So we try to make sure that that's something that works.
And just to clarify, is this something you operate from the cane, or do you have to take your phone out?
It's optional. So if you're using your phone, if you're using the app without the cane, then the app itself is completely, based on your phone's own accessibility features. So you've got voiceover, talkback, you can use the keyboard. And then with the cane, you don't actually type anything with the cane. It's just a bunch of gestures. So you have a double tap gesture to enter the menu, a left-right gesture to jump between options, and then a swipe down gesture to exit the menu. And those are all the gestures you have. And they're all, of course, audio-based. So you can do it without... without having to type in or to see anything.
But if you, for example, if you're selecting something which is not in a list on the touch screen, then presumably you've got to take your phone out and use your keyboard on the phone.
No, the cane itself doesn't have a touchscreen, so there's nothing that you see on the cane. It's just a touchpad to take in gestures. So it's the touchpad only takes in left, right, up, and down. There's no actual like physical image to see on the cane itself. It's just a touchpad to control the phone. So that's why we can type things with the touchpad. That's why if you wanted to actually type in a destination, you would have to take out your phone, type in the destination as you would normally type in any other app. But if you wanted to jump to a nearby location, that's the whole idea behind the cane. So say you wanted to find out what bus stop was in front of you really quickly, double tap, transport, bus stop. And then you've got that information, as quickly as you could.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Arthur. Great question, actually. Okay, Sid, is there anything else you wanted to reference for us on chat?
Well, just one thing. We'd like to make a certain offer to all the attendees today. John Mark has spoken about the app and the cane, and we'd really like you to experience the app, which means app as standalone is chargeable. However, we want to make an offer for all the attendees. You can use the app for free for 3 months and see how it is. It just takes a couple of steps. You just need to download the app, sign up using your preferred email ID, and after signing up, just let me know. Share with me the email ID you used to sign up. That's it. Next day, we will grant you premium access at least for 3 months. If you want more, after 3 months, we can be in touch to see how it's doing, and then we can think further. So it is an offer for all of you.
That's an incredibly generous offer. Thank you, Sid and Jean-Marc. And Sid, do you want to just give your email address? And obviously, if people don't have time to take it down, I'm happy to, if people want to contact me, I'm happy to pass that on as well.
Sure. I have mentioned that already on the chat. It's siddharth@wewalk.io. I've already typed it.
Brilliant. Okay, so people can go to the chat if you want to check Sid's email and take advantage of that amazing offer to get 3 months free with the WeWalk app. Brilliant offer. Guys, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Webinar Wednesday. We really appreciate your time, Sid and Jean-Marc. And I kind of looking forward to the next chapter, you know, so please come back next year maybe and tell us what you've done. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Webinar Wednesday is back again next month on the 1st of November. We have a Freedom Scientific special, so more about that over the next couple of weeks. Until then, from Stuart Lawler and everyone at Sight and Sound and our friends at WeWalk, thank you for joining us and goodbye.